Okay, in this video, we're going to be going over college applications and deadlines, sort of a general process and things to be looking out for and looking for when it comes to the actual application itself and the deadline by which it's due. So first of all, you want to be aware of Common Application, and many of you already are. Common Application is a universal application that you can submit to multiple colleges and universities. In the Northeast, most colleges accept Common App. As you start getting out into the southern and Midwestern or even Western parts of the country, there are fewer colleges that do, but overall the trend is that more and more colleges are accepting Common App. And certainly in the Northeast, they pretty much all do with a couple of exceptions. So again, accepted by most four-year colleges in the Northeast and hundreds across the nation. Some colleges only accept Common App exclusively, all right? And others will also allow you to fill out their institutional app. More about that in a minute. It is a time and labor saver, obviously. If you're going to apply to, say, 8 colleges, and if all of them accept Common App, then you're filling out one application, sending it to 8 colleges. So in that way, it's pretty cool. You can access the Common Application at www.commonapp.org. You should begin doing that right away. Go there, set up your account, and begin your application. Be sure to use an email address that you check often, and that will stay with you after high school. Because the college to which you're accepted, they'll continue to use that email address to send you information. You will need to sign the FERPA waiver in Common App. It's one of the first things you need to do. So there will be a video posted on the school counseling page. It's already there, same place you found this video, on the Common App, and everything about it, how to set up your account, what to be looking for, how to utilize it, as well as how to fill out your FERPA waiver. More on that in the video. Now, there's also institutional applications. That would simply just be any college's online college application. All right, most colleges have one on their website. It is their own unique application located on the admissions page of their website. And if that college does not accept Common App, then you'll be using their institutional application. That's all that means. So it's either going to come down to the Common App or a college's online institutional application. Now, more about college applications. We'll look at application fees. All right, every time you apply to college, it's going to cost money. Most fees for your applications are going to run from $25 to $75 per application. Sometimes schools run free application promos, and some schools will even offer free applications if you use their institutional application instead of the Common App. You can also get, if you're eligible, a free application waiver. So in other words, if you're eligible for free and reduced lunch, and by that, I mean the income qualification, not just the fact that everybody's eligible these days because of the pandemic, but through an income qualification. And the paperwork is available in the guidance office. You need to fill that out. Then we can make sure that you get your application fees waived for each and every college that you apply to. In Common App, there'll be a button that you push at the end when you're submitting your application, indicating that you're eligible for the application fee, and the counselor will automatically sign off on that. If you're using an institutional application, then you need to see your counselor, and they'll provide paperwork for you to fill out for that. Now, also on most of your four-year college applications, you'll be required to complete some kind of an application essay, sometimes more than one, depending on the college. Most four-year colleges require an application essay. Generally, the way it works is they'll feature a number of essay prompts, and you'll need to choose one of them to answer. And as I indicated earlier, some schools also might require an additional short essays or other types of essays. And sometimes they make them optional. Word of advice here, if you see an optional essay, treat it as required. It can only help you. By leaving it blank, it can only hurt you. Okay. Application essays are important nowadays. You want to do your very best work on them, and you need to make sure that you've had that essay reviewed by somebody who's qualified to help you edit that and really produce the best product that you can. So let's look at application deadlines. These are really, really important. Every college is going to have one of two application deadlines, regular or rolling. And then some other ones will also have other application deadlines known as priority or early action, early decision. I'm going to go over all these right now. So for every college, it's either regular or rolling. A regular decision simply means there's going to be some kind of a deadline. Regular decision deadlines typically start early in January, run through maybe April 1st at the latest. And applications must be submitted by that deadline. However, they will not be reviewing applications until after the deadline. So decisions will not be rendered until after the deadline, usually 4 or 5 weeks to 8 weeks out from the time of the deadline, and they'll begin to notify you of their decisions. Now, rolling admissions, which is the other option that colleges might use instead of regular, simply means that they're always accepting applications, so therefore there's no deadline, technically speaking. When they're always accepting applications, meaning November, December, January, February, March, April, May, maybe on into the summer even. They're always rendering decisions and always giving out financial aid throughout the entire year. So they only start with so many people available to be accepted and only so many dollars to give away for financial aid. So if they're always rendering decisions and always awarding financial aid, that means that spots are dwindling and so is money as time moves forward. So the conventional wisdom here is to apply sooner rather than later. If you see a rolling admissions, don't say, oh, great, no deadline there, I can wait. Actually, it's imperative that you try to apply even sooner. Typically, again, you'll hear in 4 to 8 weeks, whether you've been admitted or not. And you have until May 1st to accept or decline the offer of admission, just like you do with regular decision. Now, priority deadline is usually associated with rolling admissions. And it simply means that while they will continue to accept applications all year long without any deadlines, they're basically warning you that the majority of their decisions and financial aid awards will be done by the priority deadline. So a typical example, we'll use UMaines, for example. This year, they run rolling admissions, which means you can send in your application anytime, even beyond the priority deadline, which is January 16th. But they're hoping to make most of their decisions by January 16th. So really the way you should read that is do not be later than January 16th under any conditions. And again, typically decisions are rendered 4 to 8 weeks. You have until May 1st to accept or decline the offer of admission. And usually, like I said, that's only associated with rolling admissions. Now, some colleges will also offer these early programs. We have early action, early decision. Sometimes they offer both, sometimes only one, and sometimes none. It all depends on the college. So you want to be checking their admissions pages to determine what kind of programs they offer. But the early action that some schools offer in addition to either regular rolling, and sometimes again, in addition to early decision as well, it's an earlier deadline than the regular deadline, usually between November 1st and December 15th is when the majority of early action and early decision deadlines are run. The purpose that really the college is trying to accomplish is to get highly desirable students accepted. So those would be the students who meet or exceed their admission criteria when it comes to SAT scores, GPA, things like that. Because they're generally accepting more desirable students during this time, these early action plans tend to be associated with better financial aid packages. Decisions are usually rendered within 4 to 5 weeks. So if you have a November 1st deadline, you should hear long about the beginning of December. Likewise with a December 1st deadline, hopefully by Christmas or shortly thereafter, whether you've been accepted or not. The advantage of early action, however, is that you have until May 1st to decide if you want to accept or decline, just like the other programs. Now, early decision, okay, again, is offered in addition to either regular rolling and sometimes early action as well. Very similar to early action in many respects. It's an earlier deadline, again, typically between November 1st and December 15th. Again, the purpose is to get highly desirable students accepted, and also tends to be associated with better financial aid packages. And again, decisions typically rendered in 4 to 5 weeks. However, that's where the similarities stop. You need to watch out for early decision. It's a tricky one. It is actually a legally binding contract that you enter into with the university. You sign off on it, your parents sign off on it, your guidance counselor signs off on it, where if you are accepted, you are legally prohibited from attending any other college that you apply to. So you lose your ability to leverage your decision-making process. So if you apply to a certain college that offers early decision and you get accepted, you're pretty much obligated to go there or go to no college at all. So it's a tricky decision. Make sure you're talking to your parents and counselor about that before committing to it. It should only be a college to which you absolutely know under all conditions or all circumstances that no matter what, if you get accepted there, doesn't matter what the financial aid package is, doesn't matter about anything, you will be going there. Otherwise, stay away from it. There's early decision 1, early decision 2. They're 2 separate deadlines, usually a month later for early decision 2. That allows maybe you to apply early decision to another college, and if not accepted, then you could apply early decision to that college at a later date, and thus you would not be in conflict with each other, because you do not want to apply to 2 colleges early decision at the same time, because if you get accepted to both, you have a legal issue on your hand and they will dump you. Both of them will, so you'll actually not get accepted to either. So those are your college application deadline options. If you have further questions, please consult your school counselor about that. Now, you'll also be required to utilize Naviance in the college admissions process. There will be a separate video that you can watch for that, but it's definitely required in your college admissions process. Can't get out of it. It will allow your counselor to properly process your application materials and send them in a timely fashion electronically to all the colleges to which you'll apply. It also allows the counselor and teacher recommendation process to happen. You'll have to use Naviance for both of those processes. And again, there's a video available with all of your Naviance activities explained there. One in the teacher and counselor recommendations video, the other in utilizing Naviance in the admissions process video. Now, another important part of the college application process is the transcript release form. You must fill out a transcript release form for every college you apply to. This is essentially legal permission, a permission slip, if you will, that allows Sanford High School to send all of your academic information, which belongs to you and nobody else. So we need permission to send that, such as your transcript, letters of recommendation, other application materials. You need to fill out a transcript request form for every college you apply to. So one transcript request release form for every college. So if you're applying to 10 colleges, we're going to need to see 10 of these transcript request forms. And you must complete them no later than 2 weeks before your first application deadline. Okay, so you don't have to complete all of them at once, but the first one we need to get 2 weeks before your very first application deadline, because it takes a couple weeks to do all the things we need to do to be able to prepare for that deadline and make sure that all your materials have been sent on time. What we're going to do here is we're going to actually show you a picture of what a transcript release form looks like. This year, they're going to be like a bright pink magenta. Okay. You'll see here at the top, your first transcript release form must be submitted to the school counseling office at least 2 weeks prior to your first application deadline, with all these exclamation points. Do not be late. Otherwise, we cannot guarantee that your materials will be out the door in time. This is not to be confused with your college application. We've had some kids think that when they do this, they've applied to college. They haven't. Your college application is a separate process that you do through Common App or through the institutional applications on the college's websites. You then fill out the transcript request form, so we send the rest. Okay, so submitting each application to each college through Common App or the college website is your responsibility, by the way, as is submitting your SAT or ACT scores through College Board or the ACT accounts. That is something you do, we do not. Now, below you'll see how you would be filling out your transcript request form. I use a knowable character here, Tom Brady. If he was applying to college, let's say the University of Michigan, he would submit this transcript request form. I'll put the date down, November 1st, let's just say 2021, University of Michigan. Now, below that, we would like you to include the college admissions office address here if it's not in Maine or New Hampshire. If it's in Maine or New Hampshire, we already know all the addresses. We don't need that stuff. But if it's something actually like University of Michigan, you'd want to include the admissions office address. Also, make sure you include the application due date, December 1st, 2021. Tom is being a good boy here. He's getting his transcript release form in a full month prior to this application deadline. Good boy, Tom. Just simply check off the answers to these questions. Have you submitted your application yet? No, he has not, but he might have already. Are you applying through Common App? Yes, Tom is applying through Common App. Are you eligible for free and reduced lunch? It's either a yes or no response here. If it's yes, it just simply means that you need to just touch base with your counselor to make sure that he or she knows that you are eligible. And then you simply sign below here. And by signing, you agree to allow Sanford High School to release your transcript and all your academic records to the college or scholarship listed above. And understand that you are responsible for submitting all other required application materials. Okay, so back to our presentation. So to wrap it up then, just so you understand, there is actually a 10-step process here at Sanford High School that you utilize for sort of the entire college admissions process and really to send out an application to a college, all right? And you may notice that only one of them involves submitting a college application. That's step number 7, right? Now, all of these steps are embedded in different videos. So it's all covered here, all right? Step number 1, you want to make sure your counselor recommendation information form is complete and submitted to your counselor so they can write a recommendation. Number 2, you want to make sure you've asked all teachers that you're going to ask to write letters of recommendation and invite them in Naviance. You want to make sure you've got your Common App account and you've signed your FERPA waiver. Very important step in the process. You want to make sure that you've completed the Common App Naviance account matching procedure. Again, there's videos that describe all of these things. You want to make sure you've selected all your colleges and deadlines in Common App as well as in Naviance, steps 5 and 6. Step 7 is actually submitting your college applications either through the Common App or an institutional application prior to their deadlines. You also want to make sure you've submitted your transcript release form to your school counseling office, one for every college you apply to. You want to make sure you've submitted standardized test scores if required. Just quick notation, about 75% of the schools this year will not be requiring them because of the pandemic. There's a whole video on that for you to watch so you get clear on what that's all about. And finally, you want to complete the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. It is the big financial aid form that everybody must fill out as part of their financial aid process. Again, a video for that as well. So those are sort of the 10 steps in review. I think you now have the information that you need around college applications in general, including the deadlines. So you need to then begin this process. Again, this will all be covered in your senior meeting as well. So good luck. Thank you.